Look at this setup that we have right now.
Yeah.
We had some professionals come in, and I gotta say, I feel really official.
It feels super professional. Any guest should want to come on this podcast right now with how we look. We're coming back with episode 57. We're excited to dive right in. I think we've got a lot of big plans for this year, 2025.
The way I see 2025 going, having real conversations with you, having real conversations with guests plays a big part in that. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a big year. You're listening to the Clean Kitchen Podcast with Kyle and Kevin Fitzgerald. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clean Kitchen Podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kevin.
And Kevin,
Yeah,
we're back.
we are back. We're back and better than ever. Like you said, look at us.
Look at this setup that we have right now.
Yeah.
If
This
you're
is a
watching
big
on
difference.
YouTube, we had some help. We had some professionals come in, help us create a real podcast set. And I got to say, I feel really official.
Yes, it feels super professional. I feel like we were doing a great job before. We were kind of DIYing it of what we're going through with the podcast. But right now, I feel like we should have just like any guest should want to come on this podcast right now with how we look.
I love the confidence there.
Yes.
We definitely leveled up. It feels like we leveled up.
Yes. So we did. We invested some time and energy into upgrading the studio for you guys. We're excited to put out some more content. We've done 56 episodes before. Now we're coming back with episode 57. We're excited to dive right in. I think we've got a lot of big plans for this year, 2025, to come out with really good podcasts, both Kyle and I on our own, but also bringing on some exciting guests, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be a big year. Yeah. Cause I'm trying to think, when was the last episode we did? I think it was August, right?
It was probably August. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been 5-6 months, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. 5 months probably
Yeah.
since we last
Yeah.
put out an episode.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. As I was reflecting on 2024 and planning out 2025, I was kind of writing down my different goals and visions and things that I want to do. And one of the things at the top of that list was to restart the podcast. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Do you do New Year's resolutions?
I wouldn't say I really do New Year's resolutions. It's more of like visions is what I like to call it. And with we can talk about this later, but I've been working with basically like a life coach here since I moved to Florida, which we can also talk about. But he calls a lot of updates. He calls them visions. So like visions for 2025. So that's kind of the way I think about it. Less of like resolutions and more of visions, the way I see 2025 going.
Yep.
And restarting the podcast, having real conversations with you, having real conversations with guests, plays a big part in that.
Got it. Okay. So not necessarily resolutions, because it is very trendy. And I think we talked about it last year to come up with New Year's resolutions, but the way we talked about it last year was about habits rather than resolutions. And I think that's also a good way to phrase it. So whether it's visions or habits, not necessarily just tying yourself to a short-term goal, building like almost a different life is kind of, I think, the best way to do it.
Yeah. I love the idea of like little of habits and like doing little things every day until it kind of becomes a habit.
Yeah.
So real quickly, before we kind of jump into the episode, there's two things that I personally am working on this year. One of them being, I want to read more. I keep saying that, but I want to read more. So Kevin, you got me a book for Christmas
Yes.
from Ryan Holiday. It's like I forget what it's called. Do you know what it's called?
It's about stoicism.
Yeah.
I don't
And
remember.
basically, each page is a day. So basically for me to get into reading, I'm reading this book and I'm just reading a page a day, just starting slow. But then I've noticed like, since I do that, then it like makes me want to pick up another book and start reading it.
Yeah.
So just a random thought there that I had.
Yeah. No, why do you want to read more? Because I feel like a lot of people, that is their New Year's resolutions, whatever it is, read 5 books, read 10 books. Why is it that you feel like reading adds value for you?
I think it's just the knowledge.
Mhm.
There's a lot that I still have to learn.
Mhm.
Of course. I mean, there's a lot everyone has to learn. We're constantly learning. So I think it's really that. I think it's just gaining more knowledge and then using that knowledge to experience life and
Yeah.
have more meaningful conversations about something that I've read about, and then basically applying that to my life. So yeah, I'd say the knowledge piece of it for me.
Yeah. I think that's the reason for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And speaking about living life, Kyle,
Yeah.
let's talk about some life changes. First off, where are you now? What happened?
Oh, I'm living life, Kevin. I'm in Florida.
Yeah, living the best life.
I am in West Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah. So I guess the last episode we recorded, I was still in North Carolina,
That's right.
but it was around that time where I was ready for a change. My lease was ending in North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina. Like I said, I was ready for something different. I was ready for an environment change. I thought, I could live anywhere I want. I've lived in the same place the same area for 27 years of my life, my entire life, same as you,
Mhm.
um, in North Carolina, Cary, Raleigh area. And I'm like, I work for myself. I can live anywhere I want. Where would I want to live if I could go anywhere? Florida. Florida was at the
Absolutely.
top. I'd say main two things immediately: weather. I love the warm weather and I love the beach. So those are the two main things that attracted my attention. But then also I had been down to this area, like the Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach, West Palm Beach area. If you know Florida, that's basically just like the East Coast, all the cities along the East Coast. And I had been to this area a bunch to visit my manager, actually, Erica. She lives in Boca. And every time I came to this area, I was like, man, I could see myself living here.
Mhm.
And long story short, I toured a bunch of apartments one weekend. I came down here, stayed at an Airbnb over the weekend, toured like 5 or 6 apartments, ended up choosing this one in West Palm Beach. And I'll tell you, Kevin, it's been life changing. It really has.
What part? So the weather is obviously the big difference. It is just beautiful there almost year round. Like right now in North Carolina, it's been freezing, but you've been down in Florida getting sun exposure, being outside. Those are obviously big impacts and changes that are good for your health. But what else about being in Florida has been so life changing?
I'd say the main thing is the people here for sure. Um, when I moved here, I didn't know many people, maybe like 1 or 2 people here in this area. Yeah, I got to give a huge shout out to Dan because he is one of the few people that I knew well, he was actually the one that I reached out to ask which apartments that I should tour here in Florida, and ended up choosing the one that he was also moving into that same weekend that I was touring apartments. So kind of a crazy coincidence there. Um, but anyway, I'm super grateful for him because he has introduced me to a lot of the health and wellness people in this area. And um, it's really just been like a total flip of community and connection here in Florida. I had friends in North Carolina, um, but I didn't have a lot of like-minded friends. I feel like that were kind of on the same wavelength as me in terms of health and nutrition and lifestyle and all of that. So to move down here and kind of just get thrown into this friend group and just to be able to meet so many different like-minded people that are really into health and wellness, just like me, it's been really amazing. Really cool experiences, really good conversations, and yeah, just another layer of uh, community and connection, which I think is going to be a common theme throughout this episode and throughout
Yeah.
I'd say like throughout the rest of my
Yeah, it's
life,
not just
to
a
be honest.
2025 vision for you. It feels like it's like a life vision. So I think it's Tim Ferriss that has this quote that you are effectively a recreation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I think that's been the biggest change, at least from the outside, seeing it from my perspective for you is that now you're spending your physical time with a group of different people, like-minded people, like you said. And it allows you to
Mhm.
grow and build on each other a whole lot more effectively than when you're with people that you don't have a lot in common with. I think that's true for any interest, hobby, habit, anything. And it's been pretty cool to see from the outside the collaboration that you all have had together.
Yeah. What from the outside perspective, um, what are some things, a few things that you would say like you've noticed about me that's different, or like things that you've seen,
Yeah.
changes that you've
Yeah.
seen in
I'd
me,
say
I
the
guess.
biggest change is that you're
Yeah.
more inquisitive. So you ask a lot more questions than I would say you did before. And I feel like you've changed to like this learner mindset that is at least more evident
Mm.
from conversations that we have together. That I think that's the most interesting, which maybe you've been talking to these people that you're with more and asking a lot of questions and just picking their brain, and that's translated to other conversations, whether it's with new people or family, what that might be. I'd say that's the biggest one that stands out to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's accurate, first of all. Yeah, just something that I've been learning and working on is
Mm.
just being genuinely curious. And um I'd say like I used to I used to overthink a lot, get in my head if I'm in a conversation with someone, like I'm thinking about what they're saying and maybe I'm already thinking about the next question. Maybe like even on a podcast, like if we're interviewing someone and I'm getting in my head, I'm like, okay, they're talking right now, but what question should I ask next? And instead, I just feel like I'm a lot more present, less in my head, more present, and just leading with just curiosity and listening to them and listening for the question that's there, basically, like really listening to what they're saying, and there's a question that can be asked with based on what they're saying, basically. um so yeah, just yeah, genuinely
Yeah.
curious
I think
and
that's
eager
one of
to
like
learn.
the best interview
So
tips
yeah.
that people give out is that people are always processing what's next. And if you just listen to what people are saying, they give you so much to offer, which I think is fascinating. So we talked
Yeah.
about the move to Florida. There's been other huge life
Yeah.
changes in the past couple months. One of which that I think I want to drill into a little bit is a couple trips that you've gone on. So you've done some retreats. You've gone to both Mexico and Costa Rica. You talked about it a little bit on Instagram, but tell me a little bit more about each of those, the purpose of them, and then maybe some takeaways that you had from those trips.
First of all, yeah, this was a big year of traveling for me. A lot of traveling, different conferences, different events, and yeah, it was actually, it's funny because in the beginning, and this is another tip for like New Year's resolution type things. In the beginning of 2024, I was like, I had the vision that I want to travel more. I want to travel a lot this year and go to new places and meet new people and gain new experiences. And I just kind of like set the intention, but I didn't really like plan out a lot of things. I
Hmm.
kind of just let things come to me, to be totally honest. Like there was nothing that I traveled a lot in 2024, but there was nothing I really was like went out of my way to do. It was like these things came to me and then I said yes to the things that sounded fun and things that appealed to me. So two of those opportunities that came to me were retreats. One of them being in Mexico, which was the first one I went on. That was a bioculture retreat. I filmed a bunch of stories and reels while I was there, but there's these two influencers that live in Mexico, and they host these health and wellness retreats. They do them pretty frequently, like once or twice a month or something like that. And it's really just an opportunity for, again, like-minded people to come together and basically just do healthy things. We started off every morning with like yoga or a breath work session or some sort of movement in the sun. Um, Ate a lot of real good food that they were preparing for us on a daily basis, every single meal. Yeah, just like just to get together, connect, collaborate on different videos. We went hiking one day, went to the beach. There was a UFC fighter that was also on the retreat.
Uh-huh.
Matt Brown. I don't watch a lot of UFC, but if you're listening to this and you know a lot of UFC, apparently this is like a pretty big deal that this guy was there. And we did some different Muay Thai training. So this was my first time ever doing something like this, but a lot of like punching and kicking and blocking and yeah, just like fighting. And
Yeah.
it was pretty awesome,
Yeah.
I have to say.
Very, I guess like taking a
Yeah.
trip back in time, almost it feels like. But you said a word I've never really heard before, which is
Yeah.
bioculture. We've talked about biohacking before, especially with Brian Johnson. What does bioculture mean?
Yeah. Um, I think it's like it's almost like combining like the biohacking, but creating a culture of it, or from it. Um, I don't know. They really focus on
Mhm.
community.
Yeah.
Again, a common theme. Uh, but yeah, just bioculture, like creating this culture, creating uh, this vibe of like-minded people coming together. And you said it perfectly. It is like getting back to the basics. It's like we spend almost every day outside with our feet on the ground, grounding basically the entire day in the sun, eating real food, connecting. Not, I mean, besides like the few videos that we filmed, not a lot of electronics, no devices, nothing like that. So again, I say the same thing about nutrition, but I think we overcomplicate so many things. And it's just like getting back to the basics and just being outside, getting with the group of people. We also played music. There was a guitar and different instruments there. So obviously I'm going to
Mhm.
grab that and play some music. Yeah, just getting back to the basics, creating a community,
Yep. So
of
important. So
like-minded people.
that was Mexico. That was more not a
Yeah.
work trip, but work focused, I would say. Work adjacent maybe.
Yeah.
But you also went to Costa Rica. What was that about?
Yes. I'll start with Dan, the co-founder of Nads, who I just spoke about. He introduced me to Graham, this guy named Graham. He lives here in Delray, or sorry, in Boca, in Florida, and he's basically a life coach. He helps people become the best versions of themselves, basically, personally, professionally, everything. So I met him when I started to tour apartments here in July, and we connected right away. We stayed in touch. We had a few calls, and it's funny because I had been like kind of subconsciously looking for something like this, but I didn't know where to find someone, how to go about it in any way, shape, or form. And I didn't really do anything about it. Like I didn't do any research or anything. I just kind of, I don't know, like thought it in my mind and be like, oh, that'd be cool to like have someone to work with, to basically um, become the best version of myself. And I met with Graham, and we had some really good calls in the beginning. And I was like, okay, this is definitely something I want to do. So I've been working with him once a week. We kind of have like a session, I guess you could call it. Just really getting a lot of clarity on what I want to do with my life, both personally and professionally. And so yeah, I've been working with him for a while. It's been absolutely amazing. And he had this opportunity come up of a retreat that he was doing in Costa Rica. So of course I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'm in for that. I've always been wanting to go to Costa Rica. I've heard a lot about these retreats that he puts on. I know they're amazing. I know they're very transformative, and let's do it. So I did that in December. That was like the first week of or December, I believe. And that was life changing. That was a lot of inner work. So a lot of like really digging deeper and asking. Um, Graham was in charge, and there were two other guys that kind of helped co-facilitate the retreat. But just yeah, just digging deeper about what is it that matters most for you, and again, just getting more clarity on that, and yeah, just the perfect combination of inner work and getting clarity, but also playing. There was a beach 2 minutes away from where we were staying, so we'd go to the beach every day and play spike ball and swim in the ocean. And again, there were a bunch of instruments there, so we played music every single day. Ate good, fresh, real food. Sat again. It's kind of like the other. It's similar to the other retreat in that it's just getting back to the basics. And it's kind of hard to describe unless you've been on something like this, but there was almost like this magic that was happening while we were there, and it's very, very difficult to describe. It's almost like you have to experience it. Um, but it was pretty special, and a
Yeah, it
really
sounded
good
amazing
experience
when you
for
got
me.
back. We had talked about it for a while, and just hearing some of the stories you could hear in your
Yeah.
voice how excited you were. But the other takeaway I had from this is that having someone like a life coach, whatever it is for you to talk to someone about these kinds of things. It's funny, if someone came to you and said, "Oh, I want to be better at soccer," you would say, "Oh, you need to practice, and you need to probably have a coach that has been there and helps you. You want to be a good developer? Oh, you need to have a coach, or you need to take some sort of course on doing that." But when you think about like, "Oh, I want to be like a better person, or I want to change or understand who I am inside," it's very rare that someone would go to a coach. It more so is just something people think about and don't necessarily act on, whereas the other things are easier to act upon. And so it's almost like a life hack is getting someone to talk to, whether it's a coach or someone else, where you can really allow yourself to be introspective and think about what it is that you want out of your life, both like you said, personally and professionally. So I think that's really exciting, and maybe that's a takeaway for people is ask around, see if maybe there's someone that you're friends with that works with a life coach and they can recommend someone. I think that'd be a really
Yeah.
cool thing to do this year.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best ways to go about that is finding a recommendation from a close friend that maybe already has something like that. But yeah, they ask the questions that
Yeah.
no one else is asking, and that maybe you're
Yeah.
not asking yourself. And it just makes you think.
Yeah.
It just makes you think
Exactly.
differently.
Okay.
Uh,
So
yeah,
trips
yeah.
that
So
we talked about Mexico. We talked about Costa Rica. You also went to Austin, which I think is really cool. You posted about this. You went to Austin for a Heart and Soil documentary premiere, which is just awesome in and of itself. But you
yes,
also met someone while you were down there. First, tell me about the premiere, what it was like attending that, and then tell me who you met.
yeah. Quick trip down to Austin, Texas, for a documentary that Heart and Soil was putting on. If you don't know Heart and Soil, it's a organ meat supplement brand. So they have these little organ capsules, liver, heart, brain, everything you can think of in these little capsules, extremely nutrient dense. And they created this documentary all about seed oils. Where did they come from? How they're made? How they became so popular? Why they're in every single food? Why are they bad for us? A lot of people listening to this podcast and those that watch my Instagram know about seed oils. It's definitely mainstream nowadays. But they made a documentary all about this, and yeah, I went to Austin for the premiere of it. Got to meet a lot of cool people, including the founder or maybe co-founder of Heart and Soil, Paul Saladino. He was at the event, and we also kind of hung out with him the next day over at his Airbnb, kind of made dinner together and hung out. There were six of us influencers there. Um, and yeah, that was just overall a really cool experience. And again, like I got to meet there were so many people at the premiere. So just again, like connecting with a lot of like-minded people and having good conversations and meeting someone that I've watched a lot of his
Yeah,
videos,
an
Paul
inspiration for
Saladino.
you, I'd say,
So
for what
yeah.
you do every day. I think you
Mhm.
said a couple things that stood out to me. One is talking about seed oils, which are mainstream. I don't know if it's mainstream yet. This is something that I'm trying to figure out, because if you
Mm.
asked all the people that you're friends with, yes, of course, people know about seed oils, all your followers know. But if you just ask the everyday American, like, what are seed oils and are they good for you? I don't know if that question is a yes yet. And I think that is actually gonna be a theme for this
Mm.
year, taking a step back broader. I think that more and more people are going to learn about seed oils. And part of that is what we'll talk about maybe later, is just this Make America Healthy Again movement that's been going on across America, which I think is fascinating to see. So I think that's one thing. It's one takeaway. And the other thing is it's a really good documentary, and it's for free on YouTube now. So we'll leave a link in the description.
Yeah.
Go check it out. I think it's like an hour, I want to say. And let's
No, yeah, it's even less. I think
Okay.
it's like
Yeah, it's like
35 or
an
40
episode of
minutes.
your
It's pretty
favorite Netflix
short.
show. Like, take the time to watch this.
Yeah. Highly recommend watching it. Yeah. And it's very high level, and well, not I wouldn't say high level. It's pretty basic. Like it's not it was made for the average person that
Mhm.
doesn't know anything about seed oils to go and watch and be like, "Oh, okay, like I understand this now. Like
Yeah,
I get this."
100%. It is. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Really well done. So that was another trip that you went on. Another thing that I saw you posting about, which I want to pick your brain a little bit, is another creator. influencer, Food Babe, I think is her name on Instagram. And she put together a protest
Yep.
for removing artificial food dyes from kids cereal. You posted a little bit about it, but maybe for someone that didn't see it, do you have any background there that you want to share?
Yeah. So Vani Hari is her name. She is the she's goes by Food Babe on Instagram. She's been kind of like this food activist. I guess the correct term for it would be. Uh, she's very passionate about ingredients and getting a lot of the harmful ingredients that we know have been studied, and we know that they're bad for our health. She is trying to get a lot of these ingredients out of our food, whether it be fast food or just processed food at the grocery store. And they, her and a bunch of other, uh, I don't know, people in the health and wellness community, I guess, that are pretty big. They kind of put this group together, and they started to do. They did a petition to get rid of artificial colors in cereal, specifically Kellogg cereals, because if you look at the ingredients in cereals in the United States versus other countries, you'll find that there's artificial colors in the United States in, say Fruit Loops, for example. But when you go look at a different country, there's no artificial colors. So the same exact company is making cereal, same exact product. One has artificial colors, one doesn't. And they claim that, because kids like the color, so they enjoy it more, which I mean, I guess I understand, like kids like colors. And when you take out the artificial colors, the colors aren't as vibrant when you color it with natural things like beet or spirulina to get a natural red or green color. But yeah, so they basically marched to Kellogg's headquarters. I don't know the specifics about whether they were expecting to have some sort of meeting with Kellogg's higher ups, but basically Kellogg's just sent out security and didn't let them in the building. So you got probably hundreds of people marching on Kellogg's property trying to get these artificial food dyes out of cereal, and Kellogg's was basically just like,
Yeah,
no,
it was kind of crazy.
no thanks.
And yeah, my question to that would be, why would the UK children also not have the same feeling towards these bright colors in their cereal? I just don't get the point there that was being made. But yes, I saw this obviously on Instagram, but I saw this get traction on like local news here in North Carolina, that this was gaining more and more steam. This artificial food dyes being in kids cereal and other foods, a lot of it. And I think this was the two themes that Paul Saladino had kind of called out for 2025 were contentious conversations about seed oils and food dyes. And I think that's a great place for us to start, to just have a really good conversation and understanding about what these things are doing when we put them in our body. And I think these are two of the first things that you might recommend someone to remove from their diet because of the harmful impacts that they have. So I think this is like going from this kind of corner of the world where people are really focused on this type of stuff into more mainstream. Maybe it's kind of crossed it a little bit, but I think this is where it really takes the next jump.
Yeah.
Is this in 2025 because of stories like this?
Yeah. And I do feel like I would like to think that the whole artificial colors are like more mainstream. Like if you did ask the average person, hey, do
Mhm,
you know what artificial colors are? I mean, like, I feel like most people would say yes,
mhm.
and they know that they're not good for you. Um, but yeah, I agree. I think seed oils. I think we're going to see that shift this year. More and more people. That's kind of like that's a good video idea actually. Like
Yeah,
going up to random people at the grocery store or something, and be like, "Do you
yeah.
know
It would be
what
even
seed
better
oils
if you
are?"
found someone buying like seed oils in the grocery store. I think that could be
Mm,
really interesting. Do you know what it is that you're putting in your body? Not attacking, but informing.
yeah,
Yep. I like that.
yeah,
That would be
yeah.
fun.
Educating. Yeah.
It also gives you an idea
All right,
of
might have
what
to do
people are
that.
thinking
Right.
too. Like really understand what's going on
Mhm.
there. Yep. Okay. So
Yeah,
that's another
absolutely.
thing that happened this year or the last 4 months for you. We're not even talking about a full year. Last 4 months. of going on.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just yeah, this is really all
Yeah.
August to
What
December,
else?
so
What other
or
major
September.
updates do we need to catch up on for you?
I mean, I feel like we kinda hit on the high points. I did a lot of other traveling to different places, but I feel like those were kind of uh, the key moments,
Mhm.
for me, but,
Yeah.
no, I
All
I I
right.
feel like we hit on everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wanna hear
yeah,
about
life
you,
has
though.
changed in a major way for me since we last
Yeah, what
we had a
happened?
kid.
What's changed?
Yeah, my Woo, yeah, shout out Levi.
Woo!
So, we had a son, his name is Levi,
Levi.
in the end of August of last year. So, right before we stopped recording, one of the main reasons was because we were expecting Levi to enter our world, and it has been a whirlwind of everything. It is incredibly difficult, incredibly rewarding. There's so much that goes on in being a parent and managing and living with a baby. We can get into some of the details here, but kind of just some high level thoughts as I was reflecting on it, preparing for the podcast here today. One is that moms are amazing. Like watching my wife go through the 9 months, the 40 weeks of pregnancy, then going through and delivering, and then now having the baby. It's truly amazing to see what moms go through for all of their kids. So that was the first takeaway. It's just kind of mind blowing at that.
Yeah.
Shout out all the moms.
Shout out moms.
If you can, thank your mom for everything that
Seriously.
they do. It is truly amazing. So that was the first immediate takeaway for me. Thanks, mom. Yeah.
Thanks, mom. I know you're listening.
The next was over the summer, we had interviewed Nicole Jacks, the home CEO, and one of the questions I had
Yep.
asked her, which was me kind of like trying to get some information from her of like, what information do you have for first time parents? Because I don't think we had talked about it yet. And she said, I think her exact words were, the first thing I would say is you're doing the best you can. And I'm someone who's very analytical and I like answers and I like specifics. And to me, I was like, what does she mean by that? Like what do I do with that information? I don't understand fully. And I don't think anyone until having a kid can fully understand what she meant by that because there is not a set of instructions that comes with having a kid. It is every kid is so different. You have to learn from them and really, really like understand what it is that they want and what you and your body can handle emotionally and physically. And so looking back on that advice now, like I get it now. Like you're doing the best you can. There were so many moments early on where it's just like I don't think I can do this anymore. I remember the first night we got home from the hospital, we it was obviously the first night we had him by ourselves because when you're in the hospital, there's nurses and doctors coming and checking on you. If you need something, you hit a button and someone comes in. They do a great job. And so the first time you go home, it's just Brooke and I there, and Levi's crying throughout the whole night because he's 3 days old, and we have the dogs downstairs that are howling because they don't know what's happening. They hear this new sound. There's probably a bunch of new smells, and so their world is blown. And that first night was just like how are we going to do this? How is this going to work? And there wasn't like a specific answer to that question, and that's really hard to grasp as someone as that's for me where I look for answers that are very specific. So that those were two of my biggest takeaways. I'd say is just moms are amazing, and no matter what, you kind of just have to like roll with the punches as you have a baby.
Yeah. What were you feeling? What was going through your head
Yeah.
that specifically that night? Like,
Yeah, like literally,
yeah,
like how
what
do
were
we
you
do this?
feeling?
Like what do I need to do? What how do I fix the dogs? How do I stop Levi from crying? And the answer to how do you stop Levi from crying or any baby is so different at every moment in time. Sometimes he's crying because he's hungry, sometimes he needs to be changed. Sometimes he's crying because he's tired and he doesn't know how to put himself to sleep. And they all sound the same. People will say that there's different cries for what they need. No shot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. It's just screaming. And that in that moment, it was just really hard to not have an answer to any of those questions that I had in my head. Maybe
Mm,
overwhelmed is like if
mm.
there was one word,
Yeah.
it'd be overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like just kinda like figuring it
Yeah.
out as you go. like you said,
Yeah.
there's no instructions. It's just
Mhm.
taking it one day at a time and doing the best you can. And you are doing the best you can, I
Yes,
guess,
that
every
was
step along
looking
the way.
back, Nicole, fantastic advice. Um, yeah,
Okay. Shout out Nicole. Any new parents out there,
yes, yes. If
remember
you're
that.
expecting or planning on having kids, you're doing the best you can. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
just try to do the best you can.
Yeah.
So we've learned an
Yeah.
incredible amount about ourselves and about Levi and about being parents over the first 4 months. Have almost nothing figured out by any means, but it's been a lot of fun along the journey to really understand what it's like to be a parent and take care of another human in a way that is completely different than I've ever experienced. So that's been really rewarding. Like when he starts smiling and laughing and having these little moments of
Yeah.
fun, that just makes up for all of the sleepless nights. Because I would say the other thing is just a complete lack of sleep. Like there were a few mornings I woke up and I felt like I was just completely hungover and had not been drinking at all. But your body is just physically exhausted from going through the whole waking up every 3 hours. And like even if you get 8 hours of sleep, it's never a continuous 8 hours of sleep. It's increments of two, maybe three if you're lucky. And that was something I wasn't prepared for, like, physically to go through that. I don't know what you can do to prepare. I wouldn't necessarily do anything differently, but just knowing that beforehand, it was truly exhausting.
So how do you so is there anything that you started to do, like taking more time for yourself, taking naps? Like, was there anything you did to make up for this lack of sleep and
A
lack
lot
of
of coffee.
energy?
That was like, honestly, that's the answer, is we were having multiple pots of coffee a day, and my wife's mom, so my mother-in-law, was here for the first 4 weeks, which was super helpful having just another person. Like, I remember times where, like, we just handed Levi off to her, and we're just like, "I just need some time to just sit down and not think about anything," and that was super helpful having her here. Um, but yeah, coffee. And then we did shifts in the beginning where I would stay up till 3 a.m. with him, just making sure he was okay. And then my wife would wake up at 3 a.m. and then take him till 8, 9 o'clock. And then I would come back down. So that was good. But yeah, I think it is like power through is the biggest thing. It is so much better now, and you do get through it. In the moment, it just doesn't feel like you're ever going to get through it. Like it feels like this is the rest of my life now. I'll never sleep again. But there's
Yeah.
always a greener pasture.
Yeah. And he's
Yeah, in a
coming up
couple weeks, he'll
on
be
5
5 months
months,
old.
right? Soon?
Yes, and
Yeah.
very
That's
fast.
crazy. That
Last
went
night
by
he woke up
fast.
once, fed him, he went back down. So it's just crazy. It changes.
Nice.
Way easier,
It gets
way
easier.
easier, and way more fun too.
Nice.
I'd say it gets a little. I'll
Mm,
rephrase. It gets a little bit easier, but it gets way more fun, and that's really what the good part
mm.
is. Yeah,
Why? Because 'Cause you're seeing
yeah. He's got a
him kinda
personality.
develop?
Like in the
Yeah.
beginning, he's just like he's a baby.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything for the first month, maybe two. There's just not much to do. He's just like, let's keep him alive. That is our sole goal. Like every day we woke up and it was like, let's just keep him alive. That's what we're focused on. And now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, let's play with
That's
him
crazy.
and tickle him, and he laughs, and we entertain him. And those things are so much more fun than just keep him alive. You have to do that, but
Yeah.
this is just way
Yeah.
more fun.
Yeah. I wanna ask, how has it been navigating all of the products and basically everything?
Mhm.
There's so many things you have to buy for babies each, and you're probably constantly buying things throughout each stage of their life. How has it been, like, navigating all of that, trying to make sure you're buying non-toxic products and really just doing your best to basically have him be as healthy as possible
Yeah,
and grow up
it
as
has
healthy
been
as
pretty
possible?
hard, to be honest. On top of just all that comes with being a new parent, having to learn about all of these things, like what does a toxic diaper look like? What ingredients are in a toxic diaper? 'Cause it isn't
Yeah.
the same as food, and I'd say that's where my strengths are based on our learnings is what ingredients should I be avoiding in food, but it looks completely different in diapers. I remember texting our sister Carly about it early on because I thought maybe it's more similar to like the health and beauty products that she focuses on, and so that was helpful. But learning what I should avoid in diapers, wipes, wipes and diapers, you're using constantly, and so you want to make sure that if you're going to spend and prioritize, that's probably a good spot to do so. What about like organic clothes? Like we've talked about here, organic clothes, organic cotton. Does the same thing apply to babies? Yes, yes, it does. So you want to be thoughtful about that. And if you just go into Target or Walmart, whatever store you shop at, it's not incredibly obvious on the surface what's healthy, specifically with diapers. Because if you go down the diaper aisle, you can look at like a
Mm,
Pampers diaper, and they've got just the standard typical Pampers diaper that probably 50% of babies have. And that has some toxic ingredients. But then they also have like a premium version of Pampers that says it's healthy, but is it? And so you really have to educate yourself on what to look for. We don't
yeah.
use Pampers. We found one called Healthy Baby that we think is really good, and there are some other really good options out there. But it is this whole level of effort on educating yourself. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the ingredient that I'd say was the biggest avoid was fragrances, which is found in a lot of health and beauty products. But it's so funny. So when you go to the hospital, they give you a ton of stuff, which is fantastic. They give you a bunch of diapers to take home with you because they assume you have nothing, which is fantastic. And they give you, I think it is just it's Pampers. And so that's what we were using initially. And then when we got home, we switched to the healthy baby diapers that we had here. But we had a bunch of leftover Pampers diapers. They smell so bad compared to the healthy baby. It is like it's so pungent, which is amazing because like what's in the diaper smells horrible, but these diapers smelled
Yeah.
so bad. I can't even wrap my head around it. We just had a few more lying around recently that I smelt again. It's incredible. It's supposed to cover the obviously what's going on the inside of the diaper is what it's supposed to
Yeah.
do. But I really just do not like the smell, and it almost is like headache causing with how much it is. So I can't imagine for a little baby where it's wrapped around you 24/7 what it's
Mm,
doing to them. Yep. So there's
man.
that. And then the other one I'll say is just like in a lot of our clothes, there's microplastics, phthalates that exists in a lot of these diapers. And so you want to try and find one that's phthalate free, microplastic free, which is not easy. There's not a ton
Yeah.
that report that.
Yeah, going back to the fragrance piece, like I didn't even think about that. Like literally a diaper is on a baby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it
Mhm.
has fragrance in it. And they're I don't know how many pounds is
Newborn, anywhere
a
from
newborn
7 to 10
baby? Like
pounds.
so a 7 to
Mhm.
10 pound person with fragrance on their like that's I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's a little
And
scary to me.
candidly, on a
A
very important
newborn
part of
baby.
their body, like we talked about in other episodes, the importance of
Yeah.
testosterone and estrogen for both men and women, and that is the most likely path that it goes through is through the part that's covering your diaper, and so it is something like
Yeah.
there you could spend an infinite amount of money on non-toxic baby products, but if you're gonna do one, I think for us, that was the one to prioritize because, like I said, it's on them all the time, and it can be very harmful.
Yeah. And that also makes me think of just
Yeah.
laundry detergent in general. Like, what are you washing their clothes in? Because if that also has fragrance, then it's really on their body 24 hours a
Yeah.
day, 7 days a week. So is there
We use
what
Truly
laundry
Free,
detergent do you
and we
use?
really like it. So we wash all his clothes in
Nice.
Truly Free. Actually, the
Yeah.
founder of Truly Free, when he came on and told the origin story, talked about how his kid had a reaction based on laundry detergent, and that's what inspired him to end up co-founding or purchasing Truly Free. So that's what we use. We love it.
That's
Yeah.
right. I totally forgot about that. Well, we'll definitely have to do a full episode of like kind of diving into all of the different categories and products for babies and toddlers and kind of navigating that and which ones I guess like basically the best brands and which ones to go for because it sounds like you learned a lot. I have to say like that's not an area I know a
Mhm.
whole lot about. I'm learning a lot about it right now, but I just know like high level like the videos I've done about formula. I know that most formula out there
Mhm.
is terrible. It's like high fructose corn syrup and seed oils basically, and that's really like it's just like that, and then maybe like toddler snacks are the only two areas that I've made videos about. But I'm excited to learn more about just all things non-toxic baby
Yeah, in the
and
next, I
toddler.
think, few episodes, we'll do like a non-toxic baby products 101 and go through all of the categories. But yeah,
Yeah,
the formula that they give you at the hospital is filled with seed oils. which is crazy. Like these are the doctors that are handing
Yeah.
out this formula, and it's great that they're giving babies
Mhm.
this food. Like it's not an attack by any means, but you do want to educate yourself on formula
Right.
and what it is that you're putting in your baby's body. So more to come on that. There's just so much we can talk
Yeah.
about there.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So if you're new here or you're returning, one way that we've decided to end each episode is to do what we call dessert, which is one thing that you learned this week, a cool product that you found. But we just thought it was a nice way to end each episode. If you had something interesting that you found that didn't necessarily fit into what we were talking about during this specific episode. So this is our dessert. We're going to end every episode this way. So Kyle, this week, what's your dessert?
Dessert. You're making me hungry. My dessert for this week, I'm gonna kind of, it's not specifically something I've learned this week, but I'd say it's more of just a general theme of something that I've learned over the past few months. And it's the same thing that I talked a lot about earlier. And it's the importance of community and the importance of connection in my life. And I would say, you can make all this money, you can be super successful, you can get whatever it is, all these views and likes and whatever, but if you don't have uh, a community of people that you can kind of go to and be yourself and be unapologetically yourself and your confident self and your true self. I found that that's the most important thing. Like that's really, and this was kind of like an unlock that I had a few months ago. It's like that's really
Yeah.
all you need to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say that's the main thing. So if you're someone out there that's like, man, I don't have that. I would say do your best to try to find a like-minded group of people, whether it's finding a life coach or DMing someone on Instagram that maybe lives in your area or something like that, and just connecting with people, asking real questions, diving deeper, and being yourself. I'd say so. I'd say that's kind of an overarching theme of something that I've learned about
Yeah.
myself
I love
over
that
the
one.
past
I
few
think
months.
that's incredibly important. I would say that's one of, if not the most important thing you can focus on. And if you're sitting there and you're like, Kyle, that all sounds great, but like, where do I start? I think DMing people is actually really good advice. I think you met up with someone that DM'd you, you played golf with them, had a good time. I would also say there's websites like meetup.com, which allows you to get together with a group of people that share some sort of interest or hobby. I went to a Bitcoin meetup a few months ago, and it was really cool. We went to this bar, and I hung out with all these people that were interested in Bitcoin, and we just talked about it. There's other things like book clubs are a great way to meet a group of like-minded people. I haven't gone to any yet, but I will. I'm in a business book club here in Raleigh, and so it's all people that are business minded that are interested in reading about business books. And so little things like that, just try something new. Like put yourself out there and do something that maybe makes you a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, completely agree. Find something that you're passionate about, something you enjoy doing. Whether it's it could be a sport. Go to the pickleball courts and meet people. Go to a church if that's your thing and meet people. Like there's so many ways to meet people and kind of create like a community and just connect with these people on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever it is. And it's part of the reason. And before I let you give your dessert, one more thing that I kind of another vision that I have for this year is creating some sort of community myself. I don't know if you saw, I posted on my story the other day. I want to create some sort of group, some sort of community where we have a group of people and we meet every week and we talk and we just share. Obviously, like I'll share a lot of the knowledge that I have around ingredients and nutrition and healthy lifestyle habits and things like that. But also just like a place where people can come and collaborate and support each other and inspire each other and motivate each other to become their healthiest selves, the best version of themselves. I've seen firsthand how much my life can change by being the best version of myself. And now with that, it's like, oh man, I want to help other people. I want other people to feel what I'm feeling. So that this is just kind of an idea that I have right now. Again, it's just a thought. It's an idea, and I'm just kind of putting it out there. And I think something is going to come of it very, very soon, and I'm very excited. So again, if you're watching this, I had hundreds of people DM me the other day saying they were interested in something like this. But again, if you're watching this and you are interested in joining some sort of community that I'm going to create in the near future, please, I guess you can't DM on podcast, but shoot me a DM on Instagram, Clean Kitchen Nutrition. And let me know. I'm excited. The more I think about it, the more
leave
excited
a YouTube comment, whatever it is, get in touch with Kyle, especially if you want to organize it too. I'm sure Kyle would appreciate someone that wants to help organize it and take care of the logistics, and then obviously also benefit from it if you're interested.
Okay, what's your dessert?
A lot less profound than Kyle, but I was buying, I went to buy light bulbs this week. I needed some new light bulbs, and I had read a lot about LED versus incandescent light bulbs. And I went to the store to buy incandescent light bulbs. The reason that I went for incandescent ones is a couple reasons. I jotted down my notes here. So LED emits blue light, which impacts your sleep cycle. It impacts your circadian rhythm. So especially at night, if you're being exposed to LED lights, it can impact your sleep. So that was one reason. It also does not emit infrared light. LED lights do not say that again. LED lights do not output infrared light, which helps with your melatonin, your sleep cycles, which is also a good thing. Incandescent lights do. And then lastly, which I think a lot of people have talked about, this is the one that I've heard, is that if you look at an LED light, you can't see it, but it is constantly flickering on and off. And that also impacts your sleep cycle. I think I've heard a few people talk about this. Justin Mayers has talked about it. Paul Saladino. I think you can actually, if you go and record the LED light that you have with your phone and then put it in slow-mo, you can see the flickering. And just imagine your brain being constantly exposed to flickering lights. So those are the reasons I didn't want to buy LED. So I actually just went to Walmart to buy these lights. And unlike LED, incandescent emits a full spectrum of lights. So it doesn't have any of those downsides. It actually contains infrared light. There are no incandescent light bulbs in stores. It is all LED. There's this big aisle in Walmart of light bulbs. 99% of it was LED, and there was a sliver of incandescent, and they didn't even have the size that I needed to buy. So I was forced to buy LED lights for the light that's actually above my head right now. And I was so bummed out because I was super excited to do this and buy these lights. And I was reading more about it afterwards. And it's just all these government regulations that have been put into place that have forced companies to put out LED lights because they're more energy efficient, they're more cost efficient, but it doesn't take into account the impact that it has on our health. And so that is something that's my dessert this week, is wanted to share my own experience with everyone and hopefully maybe educate too if people haven't done any research on light. I think that's another huge topic that we can cover.
I feel like that's like, at least like for me and the people that I am now surrounding myself with, it seems like this might be like the next big thing. And I mean, we're very early to it right now, but lights and the importance of sunlight and the importance of, I'm thinking right now, I have this big light right next to me. This is probably LED. And I almost want to do the slow motion thing to see it. But so basically, this is something actually that I didn't know a lot about, incandescent versus LED. I've heard of those terms before, but basically what you're saying is the incandescent light bulbs almost like mimic the sun more so than an LED light. I'm not saying it's like sunlight, but it's closer to that.
Yes, they were actually built
bulb,
to mimic the sunlight. Yes. So what you said is accurate.
Okay. So I nailed it.
Yeah.
I killed that. Incandescent. It's funny because in my apartment, I tried to see if I could change the light bulbs in my apartment, but I can't. And that's a quick side note. I actually, around lights, I actually don't really turn on the lights in my apartment anymore. Unless I'm filming something, I keep all the lights off. I have like little salt lamps all throughout my apartment that I keep those on. But yeah, light. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll dive
We might get
deeper
an
in the
expert on
future,
for that
but
one
yeah.
because I feel like that's just such an important topic.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, lights. That's my dessert for this week. Yeah.
Nice. I love
No,
it.
let's close
Anything
it
else
down.
before we wrap up this episode, Kevin? That's it. Well, this was
Yeah,
a
it's
great
so good to be
first
back.
episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, right? It's great. I love it. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. As always, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and probably all other platforms as well. But thank you so much for listening. Leave any sort of comment or review or anything down in the description. The reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify help us a lot, help us reach more people. But thank you again for watching, and we will see you next week. The Clean Kitchen Podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.